Riley Keough is an Emmy-nominated actress and producer who we know from the hit show Daisy Jones and the Six. She's also part of one of the most famous families in American pop culture. Her grandfather is Elvis Presley, and her mom is Elvis's daughter, Lisa Marie.
Riley's been helping her mom write her memoir before she passed away last year. So Riley decided to finish it. And it is called From Here to the Great Unknown. And we have an excerpt from the audiobook here, are Lisa Marie's words, as read by Julia Roberts. Let's take a listen.
There were the times I would be in school in LA and I would see a black car pull up. Then someone would come to the classroom to get me, and it was to go see him. They'd put me on a plane and fly to wherever he was. It was usually on a whim. He would tell someone, go get her. And then I would get brought to wherever he was. I waited for that car to show up. It was always a black one, usually a Mercedes or a limousine. I felt like my life was the best life ever whenever that car came around.
Oh, wow. Oh First of all, Riley, we're so happy you're here. Julia, thank you. Julia Roberts' voice is something, but the content of what your mother was feeling and thinking, and you were aware of all these parts of her, weren't you? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an emotional journey, you know. I actually just listened to the audiobook for the first time yesterday, so that was amazing. And what was amazing about it was that I was actually able to sort of listen to it as a story and take a step back, because Julia's just, she's talking, so I could listen as a listener, and it wasn't as personal, because I've been listening to my mom's tapes now to make this book for the last year or so. So yeah, it's been extremely emotional, but also very gratifying, and just very grateful to have it and to be able to publish you know, your family's history is a privilege.
You know, grief is not linear. It is really hard. Public grieving is even harder because you knew your mom as mom, a relationship that we don't know her like that, you know? And I wonder if having these tapes, having this connection to her via this book has been like this kind of grace.
Definitely. I feel very grateful for that. You know, there's a lot of things like, I think that public grieving is, you know, it can be uncomfortable, but also there's something about it that's where you're more connected, because you're kind of walking around and everyone knows, which can be uncomfortable in moments, but also there's a shared grief as well. So it's not as lonely, I think. You're not walking around in this, like, with this.
Grief does come in waves. You know, if anyone who's lost someone is also listening, they know the feeling. Like one day you feel like you can't breathe, and then all of a sudden you feel like your old self again, and then it comes again. How do you manage kind of the rhythm of that in your life?
I think I just let it do whatever it does.
That's
you know?
the best advice,
Yeah, if I'm at work or, you know, busy and I feel, you know, grief, I'll just take a minute and allow it to be there. I don't try and shove it down or, you know, or get rid of it. So I try and kind of like just experience it as it comes, because it's, you know, it's always changing, and it shows up in different ways, and sometimes it's like very sweet and funny and sentimental, sometimes it's heartbreaking, so I just kind of let it be what it is.
What's amazing about this book as a project, as a book, is that your mom had actually asked for your help before she passed. This was something y'all were going to do together. So you didn't really learn much about her because you knew her so well, but what do you hope we learn about her?
I hope that you know, just that she feels human, and that people connect to her on a human level. I think that a lot of the things that she goes through in the book are very, you know, normal issues, and I think that the circumstance is extraordinary, and that she's Elvis's daughter and our family is what it is, and whatever, but it's addiction, and it's mother and daughter relationships, and it's falling in love and getting married and having kids, and you know, grief. So it's, the themes are very human. So I think just like human connection is what she wanted. She wanted to share her story, and kind of with the hopes that people would connect and not feel as alone, I think.
Yeah, Jenna interviewed your mom several times, and every time afterward, she just left her with such beautiful kind of gems.
Well, she was also so empathetic and like would ask about me. But I remember we were looking for the clip, and maybe we'll show it to you if we find it. But I wish there was an exhibit at Graceland of her.
Yeah.
And she said to me, like, who even wants to see this in
I
me?
know.
You know, like there was a self-deprecation.
I think we might have the clip. Let's take a look.
What would you say to him if you could say something to him?
I think I already said, help me. God help me. I think that I would just want, I would want to know he's there. And yeah, I mean, it would be pretty much, I could use your help right about now.
So that was actually when I asked what she would say to her dad if she had the chance.
I was there.
You were there?
I wasn't in the room, but I was.
I wish you would come in and say hi.
How old were you then?
Oh my gosh, it wasn't that long ago.
No,
So,
like
20s?
Yeah.
Late 20s?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, she said to me too, and I can't remember if it was on camera, that she felt still so connected to him.
Yeah.
Like that connection to her was important.
So important, and I think that was at Graceland in the chapel.
Yeah.
And, it was her favorite place to be in the world, and I think she felt such a great sense of comfort there. And I mean, you can, in the book, she kind of talks about her running around Graceland and being wild and free as a child, and she was very happy there. So
people feel like they know your grandfather very well. You never had a chance to meet him, but I'm sure you're filled with stories about him. Do you feel a connection, or does he feel like something very distant to you?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't feel distant at all. I think that our relationship, my siblings and I, was kind of like through her, and so we could feel her love and her grief and her closeness to him, and so it was, I think we all feel a sense of like emotion. It's emotional to see him, to hear his voice,
Well, you're going to stick around. We're going to have a lot more with Riley right after this.
You're like such a lovely kid. We're back with actress and producer Riley Keough, who's been helping her mom, Lisa Marie Presley, write her memoir before she passed away last year.
Riley finished that memoir using Lisa Marie's notes and recordings, and it's a beautiful book. It's called From Here to the Great Unknown, which was her favorite song, right?
Well, it actually was a song it was her father's song.
Yeah.
And they ended up doing a duet.
Yes.
But she didn't want to do it at first, so it was kind of this, it's pretty funny. She kind of pushed back because some people had suggested, like, that would be really nice if you sang this song together, and she pushed back on it, but then she ended up doing it, and it was like a very emotional experience for her.
Was it helpful in her grieving, do you think? Or
I think so. There were a couple times in her life that she did a few duets with him.
Yeah.
And I think it meant a lot to her.
Yeah.
In the book, you guys talk about your mom's marriage to Michael Jackson and what he was like. So what was he like from your point of view, your perspective as a stepdad?
I mean, my point of view, I understand that my life was not normal, but for me, it just felt normal. It wasn't in hindsight, I understand that it was a big thing of them together or whatever, but it felt very normal, and they lived together and would take me to school and, just typical regular married stuff.
What did you call him?
Mimi.
Mimi?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You know what's so interesting is, you were born into this really famous family. So many people feel connected to your family through music, through stories, through the history, of our country. But you seem, and people say this to me, and I take it as a compliment, but you seem totally grounded and normal.
Yeah.
Like, it seems to not have affected you. Is that right, or am I just reading you wrong?
I think you're right. But I think that my whole family are pretty grounded.
Yeah.
Within, for the circumstance that we've lived in, my mom was very grounded.
Yeah.
My father's very grounded. My brother was very grounded. So I think it was just like a family thing. Maybe.
Yeah.
You were venturing off on your own professionally, and you were deciding what route you wanted to go down. What made you choose this one?
I was always interested in writing and storytelling. I wrote like plays and books and films and stuff from a very young age, and would make like home movies. And,
oh, you did?
Yeah. So I think as far back as I can remember, that was kind of what I was interested in. And there wasn't really, it wasn't something that was necessarily like nurtured in my home, because my family were musicians, you know?
Yeah.
So it was just what I was into, I guess.
Well, and we, if you've seen our show, we talked about Daisy Jones, like maybe every
Really?
Ad nauseum.
Ad nauseum.
Yeah.
And one of the things I remember, we told the story about how you kind of like faked it. Like you went into that audition.
Yeah, I
did.
Yeah.
I mean, but you have a beautiful voice.
Yeah.
We got there. I did not have a beautiful voice when I went in there. But I don't know, it was just a fun thing for me. I wasn't, like, there was no pressure. I wasn't, I have a pretty good sense of humor about things, and it was just something that I thought, you know, I'll see if I can pull it off.
I mean, you pulled it
You
off.
sure did. You've got a beautiful daughter, Tupelo.
Yeah.
And, you know,
I love her name.
I do, too.
So she's named after the
after
town.
Tupelo, Mississippi.
Yes.
Okay, that's so beautiful. And everyone's kind of got their own parenting style. What were the things you took from your mom's parenting, and what were the things you kind of left behind?
It's so crazy, because parenting now is like, every time I open my phone, there's like, don't do this, don't do that.
I know.
Don't give them this. Don't tell them no. Don't, you know, and I'm like, oh, God. Huh? So I'm just confused all the time.
Same.
Join the club.
Yeah, but so I just try and I try and, you know, I try and be instinctual, I think, about it, and do what feels right. My mother was such a great mother, and I think some of that, you know, definitely lives through me. She was much more strict than I am.
I think one of the beautiful blessings in grief, and I wonder if you found this when you lost your mom, was to have a little person, you know, that exudes joy,
Yes.
even when your heart is breaking.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, like experiencing loss and, you know, loss of life and the birth of life in such close proximity in time, and it's just it's a strange and beautiful kind of experience.
Yeah.
What a beautiful book.
This book is beautiful for anybody that is interested in understanding grief and love, and it's a love story, really, and it's beautiful. Thank you.
And it's #1 everywhere.
It's
so
number
there's
one.
that too.
So you'll find it. And maybe go to your local indie bookstore, because it seems as though Amazon is sold out. No, I'm just kidding. It's not sold out. It's not sold out.
It's on Amazon.
But it will be if you don't
It's
hurry.
not. I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
But it might be soon.
Get your book wherever you get it. You can pick up right here. You can get it from here to the great unknown at today.com/books, or go get it wherever you buy your books. It isn't sold out. That was a joke. The publisher's going to call and get mad at me.
All right, Riley, thank you so much.